Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Colonel Frank Colley. We warmly welcome the family of Private Alban Wallace Munt, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL and Services Club Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching this ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, visitors, as well as students on behalf of the following schools. From New South Wales, Horsley Park Public School, and from Queensland, Stanwell State School and Westwood State School. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you, students. You may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Alban Wallace Munt. Alban Munt was born in June 1897 in the Sydney suburb of Carlingford, the son of James and Rosina Munt. Known as Albie to his family and friends, he attended Dundas Public School and served in the cadets for 4 years. After leaving school, he worked as a labourer on his parents' property. Munt joined the Australian Imperial Force in September 1915, listing his age as 21 years old. In fact, he was only 18. After preliminary training in Australia, Munt embarked on the transport ship Wandilla in February 1916. After a stopover of about 3 weeks in Egypt, Munt sailed for France, arriving in Marseille at the beginning of April. He joined the 4th Australian Infantry Battalion at Etaples at the end of July 1916. In mid-August, Munt and the men of the 4th Battalion marched to the French village of Pozières, which had been taken by Australian troops only a few weeks before. Their objective now was the high ground around the abandoned farmhouse called Mouquet Farm. The German defence of Mouquet Farm was fierce, and in the 3 days that the 4th Battalion was at the front line there, it suffered nearly 300 casualties, including 41 killed. At the end of August, the 4th Battalion moved north, away from the Somme and into the calmer Ypres sector. Here the men occupied trenches in which the mud came up to their knees. They spent time improving and digging new trenches. But even in this somewhat calmer sector, the threat of harm was ever present. The Commonwealth forces and the Germans were undermining each other, digging underground tunnels and packing them with explosives. When these bombs were detonated, galleries and trenches could collapse, burying soldiers alive. German snipers and trench mortars were also active in these early days of September. On the 9th of September, Munt was badly wounded when he was shot in the head and neck. He was evacuated to Wimereux Stationary Hospital in northern France. Nearly 2 months later, he died of his wounds on the 6th of November 1916. He was 19 years old. Albie Munt is buried at Wimereux Communal Cemetery in France, one of nearly 3,000 Commonwealth soldiers buried there who died during the First World War. Private Alban Wallace Munt is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Alban Wallace Munt, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the lows scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We'd like to thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.